First off, I always like to thank the sponsor. Sun Oracle has donated this spot to us, which is pretty amazing. Okay, for tonight, we're going through WordPress 3.0. There's a lot of stuff to get through. It's going to be two parts. I'm going to do a lot of the single, regular, standard WordPress stuff. Boone's going to handle multi-site, so he's going to show you how to, set up a multi-site in WordPress and go through that. There's a lot to go through. So there's going to be different levels. How many here are like developers? How many people here are developers? Okay, so you guys write plugin. How many people here write plugins? Great. Okay, cool. And like maybe casual users, maybe you haven't written a plugin, but you know how to modify themes and stuff of that nature. Wow, good group. Okay. And beginners, really just here, just want to know what's going on with WordPress and if the new version is going to cause me problems and break my theme. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna cover a lot. So we're gonna go through a lot. So let's try to hold questions off. I'll try to maybe get section off questions. Maybe I'll just stop in the middle and do some questions. But usually when we just have questions in the middle, it just stops the flow and causes some issues. So I appreciate if you guys hold questions till I say questions. Okay. All right. Let's go through this. So WordPress 3.0. All right. What's really cool about WordPress 3.0 is it comes with a new theme called 2010. Okay, the old one was the Kubrick theme, the default Kubrick theme. The new one is 2010. And what makes 2010, in case you haven't seen it, what makes 2010 really cool is, it's a nice looking theme. It's somewhat minimalist, but it's a nice looking theme. But it's built with all these new cool functions with WordPress 3.0. So if you just open the functions.php file, you get this whole library of what's going on, well commented, and you can borrow and pick and choose from it. Additionally, it can be used as a parent theme. Okay, so we've discussed that in a couple of other meetups where parent-child themes. 2010 was designed so it can be used as a parent theme. And I'll show you how to do that really simply. This way you're using all this logic that Automatic wrote in your theme, and you just modify some stuff, and if they happen to upgrade it in a couple of months, 2010 and a half or 2011, you can just upgrade your parent theme and it won't affect anything in your child theme. So what I was planning on doing was going through the functions.php file in 2010, so you can see the code. So here's the 2010 folder. It's a regular theme, as you can see, just one of a couple of themes I have here. And functions.php, for those of you that don't know, is a really important file in a theme. It essentially runs all these custom functions you can have in a theme. So, for instance, if you wanted to take a plugin and not have to click activate and just shove it in a theme and give it to somebody, you can just copy that code and put it in functions.php, and it would run as soon as you activate the theme. It's not recommended to do that because you won't be able to upgrade it when it comes up, but just an example. Functions.php is really powerful. It lets you do a lot of powerful stuff. So when you pull it up, it's highly commented. Automatic did a really good job of commenting. All the green stuff is comments on what's going on. So we're going to come down to 2010 setup. Okay, it's a pretty important file. Pretty important function, sorry. First thing is add editor style. Now this is something that's actually been, this is not new, it's been around. I'm a couple of versions back, I'm not really sure, maybe 2.7. But it allows you actually to change the style of your editor to make it more WYSIWYG friendly. Whoops, sorry. Literally, this area becomes a little bit more, am I going to have a problem with this? This area becomes a little bit more WYSIWYG compatible with your theme. If you really want to take the time and if you really want to take the time and style this, a lot of times when you click on these things, they really don't do much in the WYSIWYG header, but here it will. So all you need to do is two things if you really wanted to do this. Okay. All you need to do is add editor style in your functions.php file, and include a where is it? Editor.style, editor-style.css file. This is the CSS for that area. Something kind of slick, something kind of cool if you have a client you wanted to do that for, or you're just tired of every time of guessing. You have this, you create a post, you hit save, and it looks totally different on the front end than it is on the back end. You can take time to modify your editor.style, editor-style.css file and make it look a little cooler. It's a cool feature. It's in there. I figured we'd go through it. The next is add theme support. This is, I think this is one of the coolest features. Right now, I only found 3 items. If anyone knows of any others that you can add theme support to, but I found 3. So one is post thumbnails, which is in a prior version of 2.9. So we'll go through that really quick. The new nav menus, which you talked about, adding the drag and drop navigation menus. That's not just WordPress 3.0. That's not just going to pop up and work. Okay, you're going to need to add something to your themes functions.php file to make that work. And automatic feed links, which really should just be a standard. You should just have it in there. It really just generates the RSS feed. So post thumbnails, that's this feature down here. I'm sorry, my screen is small here and larger there. Setting the featured image. So you can actually set a thumbnail for a particular post and then call it into your theme. You can also set dimensions for that. You can say I want it to be 200 by 200 square. It doesn't matter what your image file is going to be. WordPress will crop it at 200 by 200, and you can always have it perfect in your theme. Now I have clients that just want to blog, right? They don't want to screw around with anything, crop images, do any of that stuff. That's it. Just don't upload the image normally. Upload it here. Set it as a thumbnail, and now you can make it look real nice in your theme. And I'll show you a cool one of the things they did in 2010. They actually they used that. I'll show you how they did that. I'll show you how they did something really cool with it. They actually used it to create a unique header on top. In fact, why not show you? Actually, no. I'm going to go in presentation order. The next one is Nav Menus. Okay, so it adds a new cool drag and drop menu. Really, all you need to do to get this going in your theme is place, PHP open tag with WP_nav_menu, add your options, and then close it. Okay, and all those options you can find under the codex. They're all there, and they're actually very similar to WP list categories. So there's a really good chance that your theme menu, if you're listing your categories in your theme menu, then any of those options that you have there is a really good chance you can just take those, copy them, and paste them into WP Nav Menu, and they should work. Maybe you should check that out. And then in your theme, I'm sorry, in your theme you put WP Nav Menu. In functions.php, you put add theme support nav menus. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
I have been using that without having to add the code anywhere. It's working fine with the theme I use.
What theme do you use?
Atahualpa.
I'm sorry?
Atahualpa.
It might have been upgraded to support 3.0.
Not yet. The developer said not yet, but it's working.
I wonder if it defaults to WP page menu, WP.
Well, are you saying that if we get a theme that's been upgraded, we won't have to worry about this?
If you have a theme that gets upgraded, you don't have to worry about any. You don't have to worry about any of this
It
stuff.
seemed like it was not progress.
No. If you have older themes, you have to add some really cool functionality to it.
Okay.
But show them the UI for it.
No, well, I'm going to go through it. I mean, you said it works, right? The drag and drop for the menu works. Okay. But for if new themes that get upgraded, if you're using child themes from like Hybrid or StudioPress or Thematic, they're going to upgrade their parent theme. As long as you upgrade that, your child theme will just work. It'll just have it. Okay, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's actually it's very slick. So I created a menu, but I'm going to create another one. So menu 2, create the menu. Here are my categories. Here are my pages. They just show up. I want to add my page over there. I want to use anything that's applied to this category over there. So now it pops up. It's actually not anything different. But I just realized something. I don't like the way that is, so I want to move that down there. Oops. Oh, I didn't save it. Sorry. Hello. And then if I wanted to make it a sub, whoop, this is new. It just moves over like that. I save the menu. Why is that not working? Oh, I know why it's not working, because I have it as, sorry, I have it set as menu 1. That's so menu 1, I have the theme set as menu 1, sorry. And now it's a subcategory. It's easy as just dragging and dropping over. I don't like it as a subcategory, I move it back. You can also add, a URL in there if you want. Go. Pretty slick. Yeah.
How do you control, I guess maybe I missed this, how do you control where it actually goes like on the page?
You need to put...
You have to put the code somewhere?
Right here. WP Nav Menu with your options, probably in your header.php file.
Or you don't need plugins?
No. It's actually just replacing, if you look in your header file, you probably have either WP list pages or WP list categories, depending upon what you have, or a combination of both for some of the advanced themes. So this is going to replace that.
Yeah, those codes don't automatically pump out the menus.
No, they do. List categories and list pages does.
Drop-down format?
The drop-down is based upon the CSS.
So you have to have your own CSS for that to work.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
You need the custom CSS.
Right. Thank you.
This does it automatically.
Yes. All right. Any other questions on it? All right. And automatic feed links. This is just putting the RSS feed in the up here. So this part right here that pops up. If you remove that from the theme, so I'm just going to remove that. RSS feeds go away. So they're not there anymore. They just got turned off. So RSS feeds, if you looked in your header, if you looked in your header.php file, there's some code in there. It's generating them and telling WordPress you want to use them, but you put it back. So that's a really easy way for you to just have the RSS feed turn on and off if you don't want it. I'm not sure how private it would be, because I know RSS feeds have some issues with private sites, but maybe I'll take it out. Yeah.
So if you have an old theme and you upgrade a new version of WordPress, is there anything in the current functions file that would like override you? And you can literally just copy and paste this and then suddenly get RSS feeds in the...
If you put, well, you should have it. If you have an old theme, it most probably has RSS feeds built in.
Right.
But if you don't and you upgrade,
you just drop them in and suddenly they work?
yeah, theme support. You copy that post code and it'll work.
And you won't turn off your RSS feeds by not using this. It's just a matter of some extra metacode in the header that says to the browser, this is my RSS feed. If you have a link to your RSS feed anywhere, it'll continue working. And you can always add /feed at the end of your site, and that won't break with regard to this. It's just a matter of the browser auto-detecting.
I guess what I was wondering is if there's going to be like a lot of like old gobbledygook in your old functions PHP file that has to be cleaned out before you can get this to like easily run.
No, it's your header. In this case, it would be your header that has this stuff manually called like show feed links. Like this.
It's probably in there already. I mean, you're not going to have to. If you have an old theme, any themes from today have that in there. This is just an quick and easy way of adding that information. If you went in there, you'd see a lot of code. This is replacing that code with making it more standardized. Cool. Any other questions on add theme support? I'm curious. I'm going to check out that theme because I'm curious how it's pulling in the menus. We're not doing it, but from my understanding, you do need to add that in there. But maybe there's an override. Anyone? Okay. All right, add custom background. This is actually pretty slick, and WordPress has it. They added it right here. Again, just a really quick, short piece of code. What that does, I'm not going to go through this in detail right now, but it adds this, it places this entire custom background uploader in your theme. Okay, so you can upload the image, you can upload the background color. There are some settings you're going to need to work with. There are some changes to the theme you're going to work with. It's too much detail to go into right now, but this is not new either. This version of the background loader is new, but there's always been a background. There's been header loaders, not background loaders. Okay, but again, this is really a real easy way for you to add a background image uploader to your theme. All right, add custom image header. I thought this is older, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through it because the 2010 theme does something a little bit different. And this is the header image uploader that they have. So let's see what they did. They actually the header image uploader, the way it works is you upload an image for your header, you define the size here. Header image width, sorry, you would set it here. They did a little bit something different in 2010. And then you put a little piece of code in your header.php, and the image will automatically show up there. It's actually really simple to do. But what 2010 did a little bit differently is they tied it in to the post thumbnail feature. So you copy this code right out of 2010 and you'll be able to do this. And what that did was, as you can see, this is the standard header on the regular home page, on the about page, on all the regular pages. But on this page, I added a different header. Okay, so every other page gets this header. On this page, I added a custom header. How did I do that? Really simple. The featured image. So 2010 did something really creative. Okay, so you have that header image uploader feature, and you can use it just the way it's meant to be. You can get the instructions online. You can copy it from function.php. It works really well. But what they did is they said, instead of just using the header image uploader, if you want to override it, when it's ever in the post thumbnail, use that as the header image. Does that make sense? Just something fun and different. You don't have to do it. It's only for this is actually for an individual post. I want this post to have a different header. I want every other post or website to look exactly the same. I want one post to look different. Yeah.
How does it know that you're asking it to make it a header instead of a post thumbnail if you're uploading the same?
I had a feeling someone was going to ask me that. So they went through this. This is where this is functions.php, and it's pretty detailed here. So what they're asking. Go ahead, Jerry.
I think the weird thing going on here is that this theme assumes that you're not going to have excerpts where you would show a small thumbnail, which is what we'd normally think of as a thumbnail. So instead, they're using the single sort of thumbnail slot featured image to be something really big. So by default, it's going to be a really big image that it assumes will work in the header. In most themes, you would define a really small thumbnail or some kind of medium-sized thumbnail, and then show it next to the summary of a post, the excerpt. So that's the weird thing. What you would probably do is have more than one. You can define multiple featured image sizes. Right. So you'd have one that's the huge one, and if you upload that, then it's used in the header. And then a normal one that you would use, and then maybe a tiny one for search results or something like that. But
it's not standard.
It's totally weird. It's really eccentric the way they set this up to have those headers. I don't even think it works, but it's cute. It's a cute example of what you can do with that.
Exactly. I mean, I only put it in here because it was in functions.php and I wanted to go through it. It's probably something 99% of the time you will not use, but as you can see right here, they're setting the post thumbnail size, just a function, to the header image width and the header image height. So whatever you set the header images to, post thumbnails doing that. Just one second. And then in header.php is all this code. Where did it go? Here it is. Check if there's a post or a page. If it has a thumbnail, set it to a big one. So it's really just going through this whole thing right here. And this is the code that you would copy out of your header.
So it decides by the size whether it's a thumbnail if it's a big one.
It's deciding if it has one, and if it's a big one, yes. If the header image width equals.
Image is greater than or equal to the header image width.
Yeah, I shouldn't have even brought this up. I think this is a bad path. We're wasting way too much time on this.
I think it's checking the image's size to make
Yes.
sure it's not too small to be approved.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
It's
Just,
200.
do you turn that on and off per post?
Well, in this for 2010, you just don't add a thumbnail image and it won't do anything.
When you had a small-
It looks like you can just cut that right on the feed.
Yeah, or you can just take it out of the theme if you want.
But just don't use it.
Or just don't use it. Yeah, it's not. I'm sorry. I thought this is go past that. There's so many other cool things to talk about, like custom post types and things like that, and taxonomies and fun stuff like that. Okay, get template part. This is important. I thought this is actually pretty cool. So right now, if you have a child theme, who here does not know what a parent-child theme or a template? Okay, a couple people. Let me just go through really, really quick. So. A parent what ends up happening is if you have a theme, you have old themes that have been sitting around, and then WordPress 3.0 comes out and upgrades all these cool new features, and for you to take advantage of them, you need to go in and edit your theme and manually add them the way I'm showing it. If you use a parent-child theme, let's take Hybrid for instance. So Hybrid is a parent theme, and the child theme really just changes the look, in most cases, of Hybrid. You can actually change much of the functionality with just a couple lines of code. But Hybrid is the brains behind your website. Okay? Your child theme is just working with it a little bit. So the guy who runs Hybrid, Justin Tadlock, when WordPress 3.0 comes out, he does all the work for you. He upgrades Hybrid to use all these new features. And then you just upgrade your Hybrid files and you're done. Your website works, it looks great, it takes advantage, in most cases, it'll take advantage of a lot of these new features. Okay, so one of the issues with child themes is that a lot of times you're overriding the parent theme. Okay, maybe you don't want to use their sidebar, maybe you don't want to use their header, and you create a brand new file in there. So a child theme looks like this is how it usually works. Here's 2010, like we talked about. This is the parent theme, all the brains behind it. This is 2010 child. I just have one file in there right now called style.css because I'm changing the look of it. I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. One file, and it could totally change the look of the 2010 theme. But get template part makes it really easy for you to pull in unique files unique files when you need them. So let's just take a look, for instance. So right now, the WordPress loop, for those of you that don't know, is a piece of code that goes through the database and pulls out all the posts. Okay, it's really the most powerful part of one of the most powerful parts of WordPress. And usually it's stuck in index.php, single.php. There's a version of archive.php. All these category.php. It's stuck in all those things. In this instance, you can create a loop and just stick it in a file called loop.php. And and then in your index file, let's take a look at 2010's index file. They're getting the template part. They're asking to get the loop. That's all they're doing, is that one line of code. And what line of code does is it says, okay, first let's look in the 2010 child and see if we can find a file called loop-index.php. Okay, loop index, index. We don't find it. Let's look and see if we can find something in the child theme called loop.php. Maybe we don't find that either. Then we're going to go to the parent theme. Look for loop-index.php. Look for loop.php. It's really very powerful in terms of building child themes when you're working with the parent-child theme relationship. It's really very powerful. It allows you to easily use one piece of code over and over again, which you could have always done, but it has this hierarchy, just like WordPress has, when it looks for all sorts of theme files, and it automatically goes through this hierarchy until it finds what you need.
So get template part looks at those 4 files, right? Those four variations on the file name.
Get template part loop, index looks for these files.
Variations on the name.
Yeah.
Right.
In that order. First it looks in the child folder, then it looks in the parent folder. Okay. If you're building child themes on any of the parent themes that are out there, this is really powerful stuff. Yeah.
I have a specific example for something I'm currently working on. Is there the concept of loop-home for a loop just for the home.php?
You just instead of it would be loop comma home.
Okay.
That's all you need to do.
Great.
And then you have a different loop for your home page. Okay, this is really cool. Much cooler than the thumbnail thing we were just talking about. Much cooler. Okay.
And more esoteric.
Yeah. All right, we were talking about the hierarchy, and it just looks like crap. Let's see if I can pull it up. Here, there is something a little bit different. I'm not sure if I don't think I even have internet here. But the WordPress hierarchy changed slightly with this, mostly around authors. Okay, this is not going to work. Okay, so it's mostly around authors, which you can't see, but it's right here. You can actually have files called author-sbruner.php. And anytime I create a post, my archive page will automatically look like that. So you can have different archive pages for different authors. If you're running a blog that has 10, 15, 20 different authors, each one of them can easily have their own page now. It's a little bit more difficult in 2.9, but you can easily have different looks for every page. Okay? And different loops.
Just for the archive bonus post, or for every time your post appears, like a post by that author would have a different look? Or the index of all the posts by that?
No, this template, this one that I'm talking about, the one that's right here, you clearly see. This one is for authors. The new one is for authors. They just added that.
For the archive.
For the author archive.
Not for single posts by that author. You have to put that in single somewhere.
Okay.
Right. Is that it? There's no single dash author or anything. No.
That'd be crazy.
No, that'd be nuts. But you could do something like that. You could definitely do something like that. But you can have.
Yeah, you can create that custom.
Okay. Before we do that, any questions on any of that stuff? That was some fun stuff. It's in the functions.php in 2010. You can easily just pull it out and use it. You can play with it. Yeah.
On the authors, the hierarchy there for that, can you set that so it's like an author type?
What's an author type?
Like, for instance, you've got let's say,
author editor.
CEO or a clinician or a user or just a happy stop by person.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Who needs those author archive template files? How much better would it be, like editor, administrator?
Yeah, different ones. That much cooler.
Yeah. I don't know, but that would be a lot smarter than.
That would be a lot smarter. That is not right now. The hierarchy is author hyphen username, author ID, and then just author.
You should do it in the authors.php file anyway. Use conditionals and like if you were going to do that work, you might as well do it in the authors archive and just have it all right out there.
Right. Okay. WordPress has conditionals for that to determine if the author what the can. I think they do. What sort of.
User is role. I don't know.
That isn't it though.
It's weird.
Because that's only logged in.
Yeah, there's a way of checking if a given user ID has a given role. So you could say if user is role author, and then else if. Sort of how you could have an archive.php and say if it's a category, do this. If it's a tag, do this.
Right.
You could do the same thing in author, but just with. But it's not. It wouldn't be a template tag. It's like the roles API used within. You might have to globalize something.
It may be easier to actually set a custom field and type it in there.
Yeah.
And you just conditional the custom field and say, this isn't. If the title is CEO, then do that.
Give an author custom field.
Yeah.
That not a post custom field, but an author.
An author field.
An author meta field. Which is there a functions.php way to do that? I don't think so.
Yeah, you can add like a Twitter ID. Like you can do all that kind of stuff now in functions.php. In fact, I'm wondering if 2010. I thought I saw that somewhere. I don't think so. Let me see. No, it's not here. But you can add fields. We were talking about adding fields to the user profile page. You can add fields to this page if you want. Like one of the things that everyone's always complaining about is like why is there like a Jabber field or a name field here and not Twitter, for instance? So you can easily add Twitter. There's plenty of demos online that let you tell you how to do that. So it's really easy to do that. Okay. All right, if there's any other questions, what we saw? Okay, let's talk about custom post types. I think custom post types are the coolest thing. That's why I wrote it. I think they're actually really easy, and they totally change WordPress for traditional CMS purposes, right? WordPress is a CMS because it does manage content, but this like totally takes it to another level. Now, there are a lot of demos online about there are book databases. There are Justin Tadlock did something with a movie database. I'm going to do one with the contact manager I showed you guys a couple of months ago because that's the one that I've been working on. So just to remind you, really quick, this is a project that we released last year called RolloPress, and it's pretty much just a contact manager built on WordPress. So let's log in. Okay, has all kinds of cool functionality. You can add contacts from the front end. All this information, all this cool information.
How come there's a place for a Jabber site?
I chose not to put it in there. You have all these contact details. You can map it out. We have a Twitter plugin. If this was connected online, it would show my image over here because what it actually does is it checks Gravatar and it checks Twitter for you. So there's a lot of cool stuff. We're really pretty proud of it. It's a pretty cool contact manager. But what I hated about it more than anything was the back end. I thought the back end was still very WordPress. All right, we tried. We made it. We put the little R there instead of the WordPress logo. We added some footer information down here. We changed the dashboard up, but still, your information still says posts. Okay, there's still a post here. This is still a company. If I want to view by type, I want to view the companies. It'll pull up the company. Okay, it's cool, but it's still WordPress trying to be a contact manager. All right, let's switch to WordPress 3.0. This is a totally unfinished product. I've been working on this for like a day. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know. But as you can see over here, right now, there's no more posts up here. We divided this contacts and this companies. Here's a contact. I was even able to change this. It's not 100% working right now. This is usually called a post author, but we wanted to go with the standard contact manager format. Instead of an author, it's an owner. You own that contact. You entered that contact. City, state, and over here, we're using the comment system in RolloPress to display notes, so we labeled it as notes. So this is all customizable. As you can see, this is how it really works. In the company, this is how it was to begin with. There's a little thingy here. It said author instead. It said title over the company. Over here it says contact name. It says contact up here. These are the cool things. A lot of this has just been added in the last week or two. Contact, edit contact, search contact. I mean, nothing says post here. This little thumbnail is the only thing I can't figure out how to get rid of right now. Okay. Add new contact. Add new contact. I chose to put all these custom fields, all these custom taxonomies, excuse me, in the contact. Chose to show custom fields. There's no excerpt here. I chose to show discussion. Haven't been able to figure out how to get rid of that yet, but again, it's only been a day. So it totally changed it into what we wanted, which was a contact manager, right? Custom post types. WordPress currently has, you can't see it as cool as I thought you could, but custom post types are not, custom taxonomies were really cool in the last version. Now it's custom post types. These are the custom taxonomies on the side. Also, it's been set to share them. So here under contacts, one taxonomy we have is called state. The state where you're in. I typed in New York here. I'm going to type in another one.
Can you do a hierarchical taxonomy so that you could just put all the states in and check them instead of typing them freeform?
You could. I think you can. We didn't do that because we're coming from 2.9, but we're thinking about changing that.
because that wasn't working before. It was like you could do tags but not categories.
Yeah, I haven't even played with that. But what's cool about this is I added a taxonomy under contacts in New Jersey, and it's been set to share under company. So they're sharing taxonomies too. I didn't have to set it that way. I could have set it so that the taxonomy only worked with contacts. Maybe I didn't want to share the state. Maybe I didn't want to show something else. But I've had it set to share. Let's take a step back here. Custom taxonomies. Who has no clue what I'm talking about? Okay. So when you create a regular post, you have categories, right? You can assign categories to a post, and categories are not free form, right? You type something in, and you hit save, and you check off boxes and stuff of that nature. And then you have tags. Tags are more free form. You can set them up. This is actually, these things right here on the side, which you can't see still, are the custom taxonomies, are my own custom version of tags. Okay, I want to have a tag section called city and a tag section called state. I'm only going to put states in that one. I'm only going to put cities in the other one. And I want to have a custom taxonomy called zip for zip code and country. So I have those custom taxonomies, and it's pretty powerful because you can drill down by them. The URL automatically. Let's go back to the RolloPress demo here.
Why don't you use a map?
Was that?
Let's geolocate them.
We have this. You can click on a map and it will go to Google if I was connected. You can bring it up. So with the custom taxonomy field, if I click on, for instance, the state, watch the URL, right? The URL changed to RolloPress/state New York, and this is the archive page for the New York taxonomy. Okay, pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. Now that's been available since 2.9, but what 3.0's done is it made it very easy for you to also add custom post types, which we did over here. Oh, over here. All right. Any questions on this before I show you how we did it? How do you do it? Okay. Yeah, question.
Could you just give an example of, like, if you just had a regular old blog, what you might use the custom taxonomy for?
Okay, here's one for you. I run a dentist office. Okay, and I just have most of my stuff is pages, right? My about page and about dental implants and all this other stuff, right? I also want to have a blog. So maybe, right now I can call it posts, but maybe, the user isn't that user savvy and he doesn't know what WordPress is and doesn't really care. So maybe I just want to have something, a custom post type called blog, and put that in there. That's probably a bad example, but it is one example you can use. It is one example you can use.
She wanted to know the taxonomies. Yeah.
Oh, for custom taxonomies. Is that what you want, or custom post types?
Custom taxonomy.
Okay, Justin Tadlock did a very good example of a review site. He was doing a movie review site. If you Google Justin Tadlock custom taxonomies, it's like the first thing that comes up. It should be, right? How many posts did he write about it? But he did a really good job of that. And in that, he set a custom taxonomy for director and for actor and for genre. So each post now is a movie, and in it he's labeled the genre, he's labeled the director, and he's labeled the actor. And he has this great movie database now that you go on and you click on genre, all these movies pop up. Now with custom post types, you can name them movies. He doesn't have to name them posts anymore, right? Over here on the left, he can have this thing now called movies instead of posts. But that's an example that he's been using for a while. It's a really good example.
Yeah, and so it cleans up your list of taxonomies so it's more organized. Instead of being one big pile, on the post itself you can have them sorted. So at the top it says actors, and then there's links to the actors, directors, link to the directors, so that instead of being like tags and it's this mash of directors, actors, genres, and errata, it's all organized. And then if you click on them, you also get really nice SEO-friendly links that say your site /actors/Brad Pitt instead of /tag/Brad Pitt. So it'll look like you're running a really, really organized site when in fact you're actually just another blogger.
Exactly. So the URL he's talking about is like that. Okay, if we were using tags, it would be RolloPress/tag/New York. That's what it would come down to. If we were using categories, it would probably be RolloPress/category/state/New York, even though you can change that slightly. But this just makes it really simple, really easy. SEO friendly at Jeremy's. Yeah?
Is RolloPress an open source?
RolloPress is open source, yes. You can download it at RolloPress.com. Right now, we only have it working on version 2.9, but as you can see, 3.0 is a work in progress. So, yeah.
So you're telling me that, can you like sort of one up the issue of changing the word post into movie? I'm sort of like lost on that. Like, just because you can call the post a movie now, or you can call the post a contact.
But as before,
it seems like there's got to be something more
and
there.
there were books, movies, and
you telling me I couldn't go in the code and change that?
Well, there is something more than that, and I'll show you what it is. Because when in movies, I only want, when I create a movie post or create a movie, that's the only time that I want to see those taxonomies on the side that say genre, director, and actor. When I create a normal post, I don't want to see them. I don't want them involved.
Oh, and I won't see them?
No, you can control. I'm going to show you how we do that. You can control what shows up on each post screen, yeah.
It really matters when you're doing work for a client, and you have to give your client a lot of training, and you're trying to get them to understand and do most of the content themselves, instead of you having to do it as a
It becomes a bigger
I follow what you're saying now. I just thought that you were oversimplifying it to the point of that we were just changing the word post to movie and like that was it. That's
no. This is actually not changing the word. This is actually changing this is adding a totally different screen.
If you only have one, usually you should just modify posts to make it do what you want. And this new system is great because it lets you change posts, just like in the process of creating these custom post types, they improved the system for changing post type, the one post types posts immensely, so that it's a lot easier in functions.php to add 3 lines that turns off comments, turns on a bunch of special custom fields and stuff like that, and new taxonomies. So
for each new post type, there's just like a new posting bundle. You can have category unique tags associated just to that one, as opposed to the tags being shared throughout the whole site.
Or you could share them. And he's going to show us some code.
Yeah, I just shared them between contacts and companies. I shared the taxonomies, and so here we go. So let's just go through this. There's a lot of code here, and I only put it in there because I want to show you they really added a ton of options to do this. Sorry, array. Okay, here we go. Create custom post types. Okay. So there's a couple things. First, I'm creating the labels. Those are the cool things that said edit contacts, add contacts, search contact, and you really end up changing. You can actually customize every single thing you want here, including the singular name as well. So they know it not found in trash, not found when you want to view it, if you want to search it. You can totally you really every label that's involved with that custom post type on the edit screen is available right here in the labels array. It's insane. I mean, it's long and it's insane. And this is all easily accessible. I mean, you could just go to the codex and you can copy it. That's exactly what I did. I copied this out today, pasted it in here, and I made a few minor changes. Oop, here are the arguments for going through it. Arguments. So, I don't know what a lot of these mean. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't gone through each and every one of them. But there are certain things that are really important. Do you want to show labels? Do you want it to be public? Do you want it to be publicly searchable? And do you want to be able to query it? Do you want to show the user interface? Maybe you don't even want to show the user interface for the custom post type. Not sure why, but you may not want to.
If you were writing your own, if you didn't want to use the post section at all because it was so unlike posts that those pieces.
So you want that
you can put together. So you're like, if you had your RolloPress thing, you're like, you know what, nothing will ever beat our RolloPress UI. We'll hide the UI, and then, or create them automatically by importing them from somewhere else. Like
if you're automatically creating posts, maybe you have some type of engine or something. That's cool. Okay, so if you're automatically creating posts, you could do that. Just one second, please. What is it? Is it a post or a page, the capability? I'm not sure if page works, but post obviously does. The menu position. This was really important. WordPress. The WordPress menu system. Those things you see on the left-hand side are actually in a certain order, and we defaulted it to go on top. 5 is actually where post usually ends up being. The menu icon, you actually can't see it on this screen. I'm sorry to say, but in this left-hand side, right here, there's actually a little icon of a contact and a company. We're actually able to edit the icons. And then this is cool, what it supports. This is what we were talking about before. Okay, so title, editor, author, comments, revisions, custom fields. Title, editor, custom fields, comments, revisions, and author was somewhere down there, I'm sure.
It's missing.
It's missing. I don't know, author is missing, but it does support it. So you can hide, depending upon the complexity of that user interface, you can hide or show a lot of the boxes that you usually see in a WordPress, add post, edit post screen. You had a question about this?
Yeah, if I have a large database of incidents, can I, if I put them into a database, can I use this to access them? Like if I make the database, if I make put the attributes and post 2 or 3 to kind of set it up, and then actually go into my database and import in lots of them.
I think the import may be a little tricky depending upon where you're coming from, but yes, you can create a post type called incidents and customize it exactly the same way that we customize it here. I think what's really cool about that with incidents, I think revisions is really cool for that. Right? So I have an incident and maybe I changed it or maybe someone else changed it and you still have that revision that's in there. But you may not need it for some other things, The author, you probably do want the author. Do you need comments? I don't know if you need a comments section on an incident.
Well, I mean, let's say I was
but you can
with
customize
a membership database of a historical society. Could I put in, whether they paid their dues last year and this year and stuff like that, just make endless fields and have a database?
I think you could already do that with posts if you were willing to have a site that was entirely devoted to that particular bit of content and use custom fields and things like that to log all the data as part of the post. And the export process and import process from some other database into WordPress,
that's a little bit different.
That's the hard part, no matter what. What this will let you do is run that content in the same installation as your posts and your pages without having to have either your posts or your pages eaten up by that bit of data. So maybe before you could have said, oh, the posts are the content and the pages we're going to devote entirely to the membership, or the other way around, and we'll just live without having a blog.
Or to the category or something.
Or we could have made it a category.
Right.
There's all kinds of weird hacks you could do. But now you can cleanly have it separated. Or you could have just had 2 WordPress blogs, one for your site.
Well, I could have my primary site be my Historical Society website and then have a subsidiary site that's the collection.
But now you can put the collections in and actually have them labeled properly so that when someone goes in to edit it, it says edit historicals and edit member instead of them knowing, oh yeah, I have to go to the pages and go to the page called members and look at the child pages of that page and each one is a member and use these custom fields with whatever UI you have.
You have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really what's cool about it. If you have a really advanced website with a lot of different categories and things are really cool, or a lot of custom fields, and you're only using some of the custom fields when you assign something to a certain category, a certain custom fields when you assign to another category, this cleans that up for you. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5 different post types that only show the appropriate custom fields and the appropriate taxonomies and categories, and there's no confusion anymore. Do I need to use this? I'm not really sure. Do I need to put a post thumbnail here? Do I need to assign it to this category? Do I need to add this custom? What happens if I don't put any of that into this custom field? Yeah.
So when you're in the dashboard, on the left, you're going to see all these different types of posts.
Right.
You're not going to see just posts. You're going to see movies, or you're going to see whatever your other.
Wait, you know what? I'm going to hold on one second here. So I hid. I don't know where I hid it though. Hold on here.
Steve, the slide you're missing.
I know it's a problem. I kind of can't slide it. Can I slide it over?
Yeah.
Oh, there it goes. I can. I can make a website. Can't figure out these little screens here. All right, hold on here. Okay, so let me get rid of this for a second. This is the code. It's one line of code. It doesn't do everything I wanted to do, but it was quick and easy. But it just hid the posts.
That must not be the best way.
That was a post. Well, I unset it, but you can still get it from it permanently. But it just unset it from the menu. So here you have posts. I'm going to move the screen over now. All right, there we go. So now we have the posts, we have the contacts, and now you can see the little icon there. We have the company. So I create posts. I create them just like I create posts just like I would create any other post, doing it any other way. I have all the information here that I need. Make it a little smaller. I show my categories. I show my post tags. I could send trackbacks. I mean, these are all the things that come standard, right? I don't need that when I create a contact. I didn't want all that stuff in there. So now when I create a contact, I don't have trackbacks. I'm not using trackbacks for that. Okay, I'm not using categories, so I didn't even show categories in here.
Is that actually an example where you would take away the UI because?
Yeah, that's why I took it.
You don't have post content for contact.
Right. The idea for RolloPress is to use WordPress, in my mind, is to make WordPress a platform for developing applications. So the idea is that with RolloPress is that you don't even know it's WordPress. You don't need to know about WordPress, have an idea about WordPress, and you just have this contact manager that's open source and works really great and is secure and awesome. So that's all I wanted to show it. This is a great example of why you wouldn't even want the post in the menu. Yeah. Oh, sorry, her first. She's been waiting.
Is there a way to take the custom post types and, like, let's say in the movie scenario, let's say you had someone who was entering just movie reviews, and you had someone who was entering movie synopses, and you had somebody who was entering, like, celebrity gossip. And when they're all authors, or they're all the same level contributors, and when they log into WordPress, you want the celebrity gossip person to only see the celebrity gossip. You want them to go away if it's not relevant to you.
Yes. So that's the one thing I did not do. So because there was a long list of functions I was putting in there, there's also a capabilities section. You can assign certain capabilities to those custom post types. The same way you saw that label block, and the same way this was in here.
But you would have to give them special roles. But you could give them new roles that you create. You'd have to use a special plugin to create new roles for gossipist, movie reviewer, or whatever. It's okay that they could have the same essential capabilities on the site in terms of publishing and not publishing and editing comments and
unique user type.
But they would have to have unique roles so that you could assign it to those roles. You could also assign it to individual users, but I don't even know of a capability plugin right now that works for that. There was one that worked for that before. You could give individual people outside their roles specific capabilities, but it was kind of a nightmare logistically.
But there's
about the Role Manager plugin.
Yeah, Role Manager plugin. Yeah, now Capsman seems to work pretty well, but it doesn't.
Do you not like Role Manager plugin?
Role Manager plugin is broken as far as I can tell, unless there's a new update someone could have.
Justin Tedlock has a new one.
Called member. You guys one called members. I'm not sure how it does that.
It can handle that. I'm curious because there's a whole API for roles that's really advanced, and you can have all different new roles, and individual users can have whatever specific capabilities you want. But it's not exposed in the WordPress UI. All you get is those default author, editor, administrator ones.
Plug in to create new roles, and then I can use that to like block out custom types.
And once you do it, theoretically, even if the plugin breaks, your roles system should not fall apart, even if you turn off the plugin. Because plugins can work within the API, and maybe one day WordPress will have a proper system inside of it to handle that. But it's one thing that, ideally it's not the end of the world to commit to that, even though, it's in those situations you want to avoid plugins that do things like that, because when they break, it's the end of the world.
You want to stay as close to core as possible, the ones that might.
So the new WordPress hasn't done for users what it's done for post types. Like that requires a plugin to be able to create those roles.
It already had what it has for post types. There is no graphical interface for creating new post types. You have to do it with code. And that's the same status as the roles and capabilities system is now. To modify the defaults, you need to use code. Though it's not as easy as this
Right.
for post types. Like you need a plugin basically.
Right, this wasn't that easy in 2.9. I mean, but it was available. You can do custom post types currently. You just didn't, it wasn't just as simple as this.
Yeah, it's like a revelation. I thought there's only posts.
And it wasn't well.
Pages.
Yeah,
I thought
it
there's
wasn't.
only two things, posts.
But this was actually pretty cool. The more I dug into this, I realized now there's capabilities for this too. I thought that was unbelievable. I thought that was pretty cool. So this it's as simple as that. It is somewhat simple, but you're going to need to work with capabilities. Yeah.
Can you please summarize what is new in WordPress 3.0? What is it that the basic user will be able to do with WordPress 3.0 that cannot do now?
I went through most. I did go. We went through a lot of that already. Like, everything I went through.
I'm talking about the summary.
Summaries. It's online. The list of things. If you go to the development blog, they have a good list of everything that's really cool. The new menu system is probably going to be the item that affects most people because it's so cool and it works really well, and it's an issue with a lot of people. They always want to change the menu or do new fun things. This makes it really simple to do.
And multi-site, which we didn't get to.
We didn't get to yet, right? But multi-user is available. But multi-site's cooler. It'd be cool, yeah.
How do you, now all these different post types that we have now, how is it on the front end going to, how do you manipulate how the user sees it, how it's displayed on the front end?
This is
Those the templates.
What do you mean? Oh, on the front. Oh, on the front end. I didn't go through. I haven't even. Oh, in the very, very front. I actually. I didn't do that on the front. It's actually one line in front of the loop. I think you need to put in there. You just need to use WP query, but you can. It's really not that difficult to pull
So you do
custom post type.
into the files and try and manipulate them. You can't manipulate on the back end here and have it.
What do you mean? What do you mean manipulate? Actually.
Well, like this here is kind of like, you push buttons here and there and you rearrange your front end, how the user sees it and interacts with your website, whereas this is a little more complicated and requires, some knowledge of your language, which isn't that difficult, of course, but it's also a place that you could really ruin your website.
This.
Like if you just add a custom post type in your functions,
right.
You can add all the content you want in the back end, but it's not going to show anywhere until you do something to your template, to your theme, to make it show.
Into the loop.
There's in the theme hierarchy, you could create like contacts.php, I think.
I think so.
And if you could clone index and make it contacts, I don't know if that would work.
I think it's still working it out, but what I saw I wish I had internet, but what I saw when I looked at what I saw with the loop is that it's a standard WordPress loop with slight modifications. You're using WP query prior to it to pull in the custom post type that you want. But it's not that difficult. It's as easy as this is. It really isn't that difficult. And the code is out there. It's as easy as copy and pasting it in.
It'll be on the codex page.
Yeah.
Explain.
I think that's where I found it. I'm sorry, but I don't have internet. Otherwise, I would bring it up for you. But it really isn't that difficult. Custom post types are really powerful, and 3.0, I think they've really gone out of their way to make it user-friendly. So, any other questions? I'm going to show, yeah.
Real quick. So right now you're creating two different content types. You're creating contacts and creating companies, correct?
We created two different custom post types, contacts and companies for this, yes.
Now, suppose you hadn't created any contacts yet, and you created 10 companies, and you went to create your first contact, and you went into your companies where would those all automatically show up in companies you already created? Are they relational?
Well, the taxonomies are shared between the two.
They are shared.
They are shared. As you can see, so the taxonomies, we set the taxonomies, and I'll show you where I did that.
What was the question?
I think it was what's shared between the two post types.
Right.
So as you can see on the contact, these are the post types. So on the posts, that's good. On the post, you have categories and post tags, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you normally have. For our custom post types, we have RolloPress type, company, city, state, zip, country. And we chose to share them with the company post type, RolloPress type, company, city, state, zip, country.
But then on a company, you're going to create Nike, and then you're going to assign the Nike tag in the company taxonomy on the Nike company.
The way it works, I have to modify it.
So that doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense 100% for them for this, but just I haven't modified the code. But the way it works is that taxonomy is actually grouping everything together under the same company, for instance.
But on some level, it would make more sense to have a pull-down menu of companies inside your contact one and actually associate it. But he's not doing that. It's like, this is sort of like a little hacky thing.
No.
You could, but it's not. That's not supported by default, associating one with the other.
Right.
Except for like Pages, hierarchical. If you wanted to set it up like that, you could do something like that. And maybe he would consider that if every contact necessarily had a company, but...
But guys, well, hold on a second here. The thing with RolloPress, the idea of RolloPress was that everything was done from the front end, just like you would do with a regular contact manager. This is where you enter your data. So...
Hey Steve, I have a quick question way back here.
Yeah.
With custom post types, can you set up a form for external users instead of being logged in to add content to custom post type?
That's what this is, right?
You know, like if I have a public page with a form, and then people can fill out.
I don't think they added that. You could do that. You could have a plugin for that.
Okay.
Just like you could for posts. But
Isn't that what we're looking at though right now?
this is his. This is RolloPress. This is his.
Right. So I just want to show you this.
I want the admin adding it. I'm talking about a public view. You know, someone visiting the site on a public page and not even having to log in and add content.
Or why not? Have you seen the P2 theme?
P2? No.
P2 theme is where you can add a post from the front end.
Okay.
So that it's possible. It's just the answer to you. I don't.
Yeah, P2 does it. This theme does it. There are a couple of themes that do that. There are also
There's
some.
nothing about 3.0 that does that.
No, it's not 3.0. It's a theme.
Themes that could
Right.
do that, and existing ones would probably have to be modified to work with custom post types. Even there, like one that did it for posts probably wouldn't work with custom
He
post
just
types.
wants to keep someone from seeing the back end screen altogether.
Got it. But there's also P2 does it, and also there's a plugin that does it pretty well. I don't think it supports 3.0 yet, and I forgot the name of it right now. But it actually lets you create a form on the front end and assign contacts and tags and all that other stuff to it. So just really quick, I just want to get through this. But the idea was, how do you set the custom taxonomies and how do you share them? Down here is where we create the custom taxonomies. I mean, this is a lot of code, but here we go. So the first taxonomy we're creating is a taxonomy called type, and we're sharing it between the contact post type and the company post type. Okay, if I only had one, I actually didn't have to put the array in there. I could just put contact and it would work. Okay, and then those are all the other settings of labeling it, and query it, and setting the rewrite rules. So that's how you do it. For every single taxonomy you want, you place it in that's the easiest way to create the custom taxonomy. That's the way you create it now, actually. The only difference is the assigning it to the post type, because you're not doing that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and this is the code for editing the columns, like we showed the columns before. Let me get back to that for a second. Customizing this look, so it says contact name, owner, city, state, notes. That's all here. Contact name, the title, I want to change the word title to contact name. I want to change the author to owner, city, state, comments to notes. There's a little more to it. You know, I can give you this code, you can pull it out. I found this code today and put it in here like 3 o'clock. Yeah.
I wonder if maybe you're going to do this at some point tonight, but I wondered if you could show us some templates that use custom post types, because I mean, with RolloTypes, the whole application is designed to be all back end, but most of us are making pages that are going to show this information on the front end.
I actually don't know of any that do it, and I don't have any tonight that I could show you. Okay, but I'm sure you're going to start seeing. I'm willing to bet that StudioPress is going to have some that come out.
Yeah, I'm just wondering
if they don't have them already.
You know, I'm just wondering how how you pull up this information to display on the blog, like how it's working in the loop and stuff like that on a typical template. That's, you know, as you're going through it, that just keeps coming up in my mind. Well, how do you display this information?
I think the premise is that it's going to be similar to how you distinguish between pages and posts, but with one more level. And with the specific nature that if you don't account for it, it will, I think, be invisible. There's no public themes yet because this is still really in flux. Like, important things about this are changing on a day-by-day basis as more and more people try the betas and say, wait a minute, like, this doesn't actually do what it needs to do, and then they change it, and like the system for defining labels changed recently. So once it's launched, there'll be a lot of people doing real things with it. If it's a really important project, you might want to wait till 3.1 to see how it falls down at that point, because there's probably going to be stuff that changes after 3.0 is launched. Technically, nothing should be changed at this point. It should all be feature locked, but
actually, it's a really good point I want to bring up, that you don't have to upgrade to 3.0 when it comes out immediately. You don't, okay? 2.92 is secure, and automatic is, it's as secure as it's going to be. And automatic it gives security,
that's right.
and they're going to support security upgrades for it. So, you know, if you're a little bit weary, you're not sure, like Jeremy said, 3.1 is probably the better bet, okay? And I bet it'll come out.
3.0.1 is when you should upgrade. By that point, you should have upgrade. But unlike before, there will be security updates to the previous version. So there will be a 2.9.3 if necessary, if there's a security problem. Unlike the fact that once 2.9 came out, there was absolutely no more 2.8 point anything.
If you're really worried, I think it's standard practice to stay a version behind.
Well, it is now, but it wasn't before.
Except in WordPress, you should always upgrade immediately. Upgrade immediately. If you're not upgraded, do it now, or you will be hacked, and there's no responsibility on anyone but you. You didn't upgrade immediately.
And you should test 3.0 on a dev
because of your own laziness.
Right. You should test it 3.0 on a dev site to make sure. I mean, it's not easy for everybody here to create a development site, load 3.0, move some data over, and test it. It's just not feasible. So, you know, you may want to just hold. You can. I'm all for upgrading, right? Like security updates are the most important thing, and I'm not saying wait 6 months to do it, but 2.92 is going to be supported. If there is a problem, it will be 2.93.
When is it officially? When is 3.0?
So there's no when it's ready.
There's too much stuff going on, and they're kind of like when it's ready. More than previous releases have had like dates that they missed. And then eventually it get launched. This one is even more loose and like.
It's a big deal though.
It's a big deal. There's a lot of stuff that's changing. So.
I mean, they really wanted to launch it at WordCamp San Francisco, and they missed that date. So that was like a key important date for them.
WordCamp New York.
Hopefully it'll be released before WordCamp New York in October, November.
I think it's June.
Yeah.
I think that was interesting though about the custom post types and the front end and how you organize them and like maybe wrapping them into a page, making a page, putting that custom loop inside the page.
How's this? When 3.0 comes out, we'll do something here on custom post types. Yeah. We'll go through the loop. We'll show how to do it. And I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how to do it. I've never done it before.
Nav bar and everything.
What was that?
Putting it in the nav bar and everything.
We'll go through it. Right now, the funny thing is this menu system, what I don't like about this menu system that comes with it, is that, well, my current theme doesn't support it. That's one thing. But I only see custom links, pages, and categories. I don't see tags. I don't see custom taxonomies.
They took them out.
But you can put it in a page.
Right.
They were in.
They weren't, right. But they're not in there now. And it'll probably maybe a future version. But so it is flexible. Most people are using pages and categories, using it now in your menu system. So it's good. But it would be great if custom taxonomies were in there as well.
You could use raw URLs. If you want it.
If you really need it, really need it. Right?
I mean, what are you doing now if you want one menu?
It's a raw
pages and a bunch of raw URLs. So you're not any farther behind than you were in the last version, but
it'll be slicker. But even this menu system changed from beta 1 to beta 2. I don't know if you guys looked at it, but the look has changed. So.
I guess there would be no way to put a custom post type loop in a page unless you actually make a page template, right?
Yeah, but you'll be able to make templates for your archives of your custom post types. There's no way they're gonna leave. I haven't read about it. Neither of us knows how.
This custom post type is great. But you gotta be able to.
Right.
Yeah. You do it. It's instead of half posts. You do
WP query. Right. Okay.
Query posts.
That's really all you do.
That's all. It's just instead because half posts is just like doing a WP query without any arguments in it.
But there must be one where it's already loaded, where you just do have posts and like pages. You don't have to do a WP query on a page context. Like one where the URL leads to a file that's checked, and then that.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
They must have.
I think it is because I think I downloaded a sample one where someone had made up a custom post type for podcasts or something, and there was a podcast.php template in there, and I think that's automatically recognized, although I haven't tested it.
All right, a couple more questions, and then we're going to go on to Boone's going to go on and do multi-site. Yeah.
You said nothing about attachments. Is that a custom post type in 3.0? Is there anything new with handling images? Can we use the same image in 2 different posts and have 2 different captions?
Okay, well, a couple of questions there. First of all, I think technically attachments have been custom posted. I mean, technically they are.
They're an invisible one, though media is there. But media doesn't work like a custom post type, I don't think.
It doesn't.
In theory, they should have converted that.
Technically, the way the DB works, it is a custom post. I mean, it is a custom post type in some way.
With a parent who is the post.
Right. That's the first question. What's the second? I got lost in the second question.
That was the first 2.
Oh, good. There you go.
Anything changed in 3.0 about that? No. There's no new features related to attachments as far as I know.
No. Oh, that was easy. Yeah.
Oh, 2 different captions for the same picture on 2 different posts.
Right. Yeah, you just said that.
2 different captions. I mean,
I'd like to use the same picture in more than one post and have different captions.
You can't see a different caption? I never tried.
That's just on insert, I think. When it inserts it in the post, the caption is defined in the post.
You can edit the caption.
No, it's in the media.
I think it's in the media library, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Question back there?
If I'm doing something in beta 1 right now, is it worth me pushing my launch date to the actual release?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If I'm working on a simple site in beta 1,
right.
is it worth me pushing my launch date until the actual release comes out?
I don't love running live sites on beta, so I would say no. But that's my personal opinion. I mean, maybe Jeremy has a different one, or Boone.
Keep updating it and make sure everything works, and test everything.
And go to beta 2. First of all, there's beta 2 now, so you should upgrade to beta 2.
Because I didn't have a choice on the install, 2.92, which I would have wanted, and it just automatically installed the beta.
Huh.
So I'm just
That
wondering
sucks.
if I should uninstall it and try to reinstall 2.92. It's a simple site either way.
If it's a simple site, just keep going.
Okay.
You're better off with that, I'd say. Just make sure everything works.
So far, everything's worked fine.
Back up.
But upgrade to beta 2. There's a plugin called Beta Tester by Peter Westwood that will allow you, if you click on the nightly builds checkbox, radio button, you'll be able to it'll automatically upgrade you to 2.92. I'm sorry, beta 2.
Can that plugin update you from beta 1 to beta 2?
Yeah, it updates you to the latest nightly build.
You check, you have an update, just because beta 2 came out, and then when the live one comes out, it's going to tell you to go to that.
Otherwise, you won't be able to upgrade unless you just move the files over. But if you did the install automatically, I'm thinking you did it like through Fantastico or something. Any other questions before we move on?
How was upgrading from 2.9 to 3?
I'm sorry?
How was upgrading from 2.9 to 3?
It was easy. It just worked. I copied the files over. It asked me to upgrade a database. I said okay, and it upgraded, and everything worked great.
There are lots of plugins for that.
I've been looking at a bunch of plugins that usually the ones that put things in like root directories and stuff like that have not been happy. There's also a cool little feature. I'm not sure you saw this, but if you type in the wrong username, the wrong password, it kind of jiggles and tells you.
I don't like that.
So that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of fun. Yeah.
Since we're talking about these automatic upgrades, my experience was I could only use FTP, and with my FTP tool I could use SFTP. The secure thing that WordPress offers, I was never able to get to work.
All right, we can talk about that. Let's talk about that after. Okay, I'll even come back there and talk to you about that. I want to be clear on it. All right, any more questions relating to 3.0? For those of you that are still awake, still here? Cool, all right. Thank you. I appreciate it. We have Boone now. Boone's going to go over multi-site.